Hi, everybody. This is Digital Marketing Depot. We are broadcasting live. I'm Chris McDonough. Thanks for joining us for the mobile opportunity for local and multi-location businesses. We are very happy to welcome Kent Lewis and Tyler Ludwig today. Hi, guys. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing great.
Well, awesome. I'm doing great, too. I'm looking forward to this webcast here. I'm going to tell the audience just a couple of things first. If you want to tell a friend or check out Rio or Digital Marketing Depot, there are some buttons at the bottom of your screen. Just click on those, and they'll take you where you want to go. As always, we are recording this broadcast, and we'll make it available for on-demand viewing. It'll be available pretty much right after this webcast is over. So just check back at Digital Marketing Depot, or I will send you an email blast and let you know when it's ready to go. All right. I think with all that business taken care of, I would like to do a formal introduction of our speakers. Let's see. First up, Kent Lewis. He has a background in integrated marketing. Lewis left a public relations agency in 1996 to start his career in search engine marketing. Since then, he's helped grow businesses by connecting his clients with their constituents via the Internet. And we also have Tyler Ludwig with us today. He serves as Director of Product and Product Strategy at Rio SEO, an award-winning software company focusing on local search for multi-location businesses. All right, those are some brief introductions. There's more formal ones on the left side of your screen, audience, if you'd like to take a look at those. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and get us started. We've got some great content here today, and I want to have plenty of time to get there. Tyler, I think I'm going to push out your first slide for you. Here you go.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Chris. Thank you, Ken, for joining. Just want to remind everybody that we will be live tweeting, so if you could use the hashtag Rio SEO or check out us online as well. So really excited for you guys to be here today, really around the emergence of mobile. We all know it's important. We all know it's changing the way that us as consumers purchase items or even just download content. So really want to take you through a couple different steps along the way. So really we'll be covering the mobile local playbook to make sure that you're mobile ready, as being in front of consumers on a mobile device is so important for a brand, or you're going to lose. Also, we're going to be talking about what turns off a mobile user, how paid search can attract qualified leads, and then understanding the importance of storytelling. As we may know in sales jobs or business in general, storytelling is really how we capture those users. So to kick it off, really want to talk about the mobile local playbook. So not only just for local, but also from your website or web presence in general, really things that you can do and why they're important. So to kick it off, mobile users, we may know, you probably know yourself by using apps or mobile websites, things like that, that you really expect a clean user experience to make sure that your buying decisions or your purchasing decisions are really met with high quality content, as well as ease of use on your mobile device, everything from sharing and even just content navigation and things like that. So a quick run through of things that you should really think about when you're maybe not mobile now, but for in the future, or even if you're trying to do mobile now, is really about creating a seamless user experience. And that can be done either through responsive design, which is the hottest buzzword in kind of design now for websites, but also it's not going to trump if you want to go through an MDOT or a mobile app-like experience outside of the desktop experience. And some of the things to keep in mind here is if you do go with that outside mobile version templates that maybe look like your native app, maybe have different content, is really making sure that to get the best search ranking and relevancy to the search engines is to make sure you're properly optimized at the code level. So simple things like rel tags to canonical URLs, even indicating from the desktop version that there is a mobile version available as well. And that can even include a tablet version. So when search engines, they will come through a mobile bot to find if you have a mobile website or a mobile version outside of responsive, and really bring that back and build a proper profile for your online visibility in the website, how it's structured. Also, other things to keep in mind is really making sure that the content that you're displaying to mobile users is also friendly in general itself. So embedding video content that's easily played within the browser, or even enhanced content like app downloads and things like that can really make sure that you're taking advantage of the mobile user experience and driving conversions through ease of use, longevity, so that a consumer doesn't go back and search for something else. And some great, really, stats around that is really, the 79% of people will search for another site if they can't complete the task on your website. So imagine a consumer coming to your hardware store's website. It's showing me a desktop version. I have to scroll in, pinch, zoom, try and find the content that I actually want to use. It might be somewhere across the other page. Most likely, I'm going to go back and actually search for another business and hoping that they have a mobile-friendly experience. And that's really relevant to, driving conversion and making sure that your customers don't leave and never come back. So it's really building that brand trust for your mobile audience. A couple things you can do now. So we might say, I think my website's ready. I really think, we have a great mobile user experience. But it really comes down to like fine-tune details of how the website's designed. Are elements too close together? Are buttons misleading and covering information? Is it, a poor, scalability from a viewport example? So really to, kind of free tools that you can do to really get ahead of the curve is, one, use Google's mobile-friendly test. So it's a great way. It'll show you how your device actually presents on a mobile device. It's a really great starting point either for your regular website or even down to the local level when you're trying to attract consumers in your area. Second step is really looking at Google Webmasters, which is now Google Search Console, for errors around meta properties that aren't like viewports and things like that aren't properly optimized. You might think you have a mobile version, but in actuality you're not up to best practices as far as the code and telling the device exactly where to go for that mobile content. Third one, measure mobile analytics. There's nothing more important than actually knowing how consumers use your site. So having mobile click events, having mobile heat maps through Google Analytics, you can really see where people are clicking on, where they might be having trouble, and then using your conversion analytics to see where they drop off. And that will give you a really telltale sign of exactly what elements are driving consumers to leave your site, as well as the other performing elements that are driving a better user experience. And finally, the easiest one of them all, just go to your website on your mobile phone. That's going to give you a telltale sign of exactly what's going on from a user or consumer perspective, and so you can really remedy that with your design team, your IT department, or through a provider as well. So next is you have this great mobile experience. You're trying to provide the most relevancy as far as content and conversions and making sure that it's easy for them to use. But it's all about now getting people to find you. So you might have your website living out on the web. You might have a local website for every location in your business network. So really making sure that you show up and properly on search engines as well as online directories is really going to drive industry and market share to those local landing pages so that consumers are getting what they want, when they expect it, and it's coming straight from you. So local citations on Google, Yahoo, and Bing, making sure that your name, address, phone number, a link, one of the most important aspects of this is actually providing a link directly to the store local landing page, because tying that link together means the user doesn't have to go back to your search functionality, navigate through those multiple steps, and actually click and find what they were looking for originally. Other places as well as social networks. Facebook is a great place. I've heard that it's like the #2 search for local businesses. #2 source for local business searches. So making sure that you have a presence tied to your locations or tied to your brand on social networks like Facebook, Foursquare, Pinterest even. Making sure that you have all those inbound links coming back to your website is really going to drive not only search ranking, but also providing that overall user experience no matter where the consumer is, either in an app or on a web device. And then you can even target even down to the deeper level and niche directories. And this really drills down to some things like, travel guides or health networks like, health grades and things like that. Making sure that where your consumers are searching for you, that you have it for your niche market. And it's, and that greatly varies by, vertical or by, your different industry objectives. So we talked about this a little bit earlier, is really making sure that you're monitoring how users are interacting with your brand. So they have a website, they have your business information, but as we know, everybody is growing to be more and more social, and especially on mobile devices. Allowing people to really be active and feel that the brand cares is really something that's important for consumers. not only does 90% of consumers rely on reviews to make purchase and buying decisions, but also 58% said that they were more likely to share customer service experiences today than they were 5 years ago. We are a very, very social, in a social part of our, history as far as, how people are interacting with web, Internet of Things, and things like that. So making sure that when your brand is being talked about or being, affected by negative reviews or positive reviews, you want to make sure that you participate in that. And a lot of times that sounds scary for a, national brand to really manage, but there's great tools. There's also making sure that you're reporting on the areas that need improvement so that you can engage those users. Other ways are, including it in, maybe after a purchase decision, maybe you send that out to a customer to incentivize them to write a positive review for your brand. Amazon is a great example of that, and they have power users that actually get free products and things like that for leaving quality reviews. So making sure that you can monitor that or integrate it into your web experience, like the Facebook comments example, is really making sure that you're allowing a clear conversation between your brand as well as the customer, which also drives rankings and search signals back to the engines as well. So we all want to boost conversions. So making sure that your mobile experience is actually providing ROI, making sure that it is actually providing value to the consumer is really the long tail effect of enriching the mobile user experience, either nationally or on a local level. So making sure that people are engaging with your business information. That includes apps as well. So it can be powered by local information, make sure it's set up with the similar mobile experience that you would expect on a web device, maybe with some more features from the phone. Other things that you can do to really drive that conversion is on a mobile device, maybe you present an app download. So if I'm Target and I really want people to start using the shopping cart on my app, when people come from web search, which is a much more volume than I would expect somebody to actually search on an app store for Target, would drive that consistency and give them an additional experience that they can provide value to your brand. And it really affects your bottom line. So a great, kind of research study that Google touched on just a little while ago is, mobile devices are influencing just under $1 trillion or 28% of in-store sales. So, providing a web experience that is seamlessly integrated into the in-store experience with that rich content or even Google Wallet or Apple Pay, Passbook, things like that, you're really enriching and making sure that you have a longer time of engagement with those consumers when they're looking to buy. So now we've done all these great things. We've built a great mobile experience. We've added enhanced content. We've really tried to deliver and make it easier on our mobile users outside of desktop, even through apps and other things like that. Now it's really measuring what are the effects of that. And this is a really tough area for not only agencies or brands or even technology companies to measure, is because there's so many cross-channel variables that come into this. So are they coming through search? Do you have cookies? Do you have ways to attribute that to a mobile app purchase and things like that? And that market is really kind of at its infancy right now, just because of the web experience to the app experience is kind of limited in what you can do. And that even includes beacon technology. So it's a hot topic right now. We know adoption is growing with stores like Macy's and Target and Walmart trying to introduce those things. But tying that back to your web experience is really the next hurdle in kind of the local search or mobile search space. So making sure that you have, from your experience, ways to track at this point. So the cross-channel or online to offline might not be there, but measuring your analytics from desktop and mobile. So making sure you know which click events or which conversions that mobile users are driving outside of desktop. And that way you can really compare, the usability and make changes on the fly to your website to introduce more mobile elements to those mobile consumers. And just, kind of a recent study with some of our clients is, we're seeing that from a local level, over 65% of traffic is coming from mobile. Where back in the day it might have been 20 to 30%. So 65% of all of their traffic, that's a huge sum when it comes into, purchase levels, how much their average order value is, and things like that. So making sure that you have insight to that is really making sure that you're doing it in the right way. And ways to do that is integrating local promotions, coupons, downloads. All of that can be tracked back to an analytics platform so that you know on a local level or per user level exactly where the hangups are, where's your success, and how you can optimize going forward. And that even includes things like click-to-call analytics. So making sure that you know when somebody clicks to call your business, there's probably a 50% chance that they might actually visit that store. So making sure that that information is correct and actionable really provides the value that can drive that mobile experience as you move along in the process.
Okay, I think I'm going to jump in here for you, Tyler. Thank you for that. Audience, we've got our first polling question. Here we are. Are you currently doing any of the following in your mobile search strategy? This is a multi-answer, so choose any and all that apply here. Let me read them all for you. I have a website that is mobile-friendly, use responsive design, have separate experiences for mobile and desktop, have listed your local businesses on search engines, have listed your local businesses on sub-tiered directories, have tools to monitor mobile user engagement, use enhanced content like app downloads or coupons targeted for mobile users, are measuring cross-channel metrics like call analytics or online and offline conversions, or none of the above. That'll be interesting if someone says none of the above, right? Just want to remind you, audience, while I'm waiting for these results to come in here, that we do have time for Q&A, live Q&A at the end of this broadcast, so take advantage of these industry experts we have on the call today and make sure you pop your questions in that Ask a Question box, and we will do our best to get to those during the live broadcast. All right, let me see if we've got results in here for you. Thanks, Tyler, for everything. I'm going to turn it over to Kent in just a second, and here are the results. Wow. Pretty much split up across the board here with the big winner, have a website that is mobile-friendly.
Yeah, that's great. I mean,
yeah.
I think it's interesting just thinking about when the Google Mobile Friendly kind of update came out and, people testing. I think there was a few studies that, only about 30% of websites on the web or in their index actually had a mobile-friendly experience. So it's good to know that people on the call are actually doing that and, kind of a mix between, responsive design and the separate templates. So it'll really be exciting to hear some questions about how, they're correlating those two things.
Okay, I went ahead and pushed out your first slide, so you go ahead and jump in whenever you're ready.
All right. It's great to be here. Kent Lewis with Anvil, and I'm going to talk about what turns off mobile users and impacts your brand online. So for starters, we want to talk a little bit about the good news is that over nearly 80% of you on this call alone are not ignoring mobile, and which is a very good sign. As Tyler mentioned earlier, just a couple of years ago, it would have been a much smaller percent, probably half or a third of that. So the first thing to be thinking about, in my mind, and these aren't necessarily in order of importance, but let's pretend they are for simplicity's sake, is that mobile is, there. You can triangulate. There is a time and location sensitivity to mobile marketing. So if you look at what time of day people typically log into their phone or check their phone, which is throughout the day and all day long, but there is a peak typically in the afternoon time as they're mentally zoning out of work and planning their at-home and evening commute and plans for dinner and so forth. As a restaurateur, I would want to be targeting that afternoon planning time, for instance. Then there's the location-specific targeting. So whether it's a specific city, zip code, a range, radius around your business, there's always a location opportunity around your messaging to be customized per location, depending on what kind of business you have. In terms of designing a responsive site, if you build in WordPress or other well-known and understood content management platforms, you're going to have inherently a mobile-friendly or responsibly designed site. You can see on the right as an example of a regional bank, Umpqua. known for its kind of innovative retail locations and their culture, they've created a very simple mobile experience dedicated to those looking for mortgages in a very specific area within Oregon. And it's all about the one-thumb navigation. Navigate while you walk, hopefully not while you're driving. It's all about making it easy. And as you can see, the chart below on the left shows that we're spending 2.8 hours a day on our mobile device, which is more than our desktop device. So you cannot ignore the mobile experience without some degree of peril. And most of you may be already well aware that Google has been penalizing sites since April that are not well designed and responsibly designed to perform well in mobile specifically. So if there isn't enough motivation in this slide alone, I don't know what to tell you. Now, there are a couple more thoughts about the power of mobile and why not to ignore the mobile experience. When designing your site for responsively speaking for mobile, you want to make sure that you understand you have less of an attention span than you do on desktop. You have a small screen size. You've got people on the run, on the move, and they may even be wasting time riding a bus or a train on a commute, but they also may be in their car at a stoplight trying to figure out to turn left or right to figure out where to go to get a product or a meal. So when you're a business designing for mobile, you want to make sure you can boil down the quick facts and the quick proof points, whether in this case it's a loan from Umpqua or it's restaurant reviews from other customers in the past, or accreditation from the TripAdvisors and the Yelps that you are a certain number of stars or other certifications. That all needs to come out, particularly in your mobile site. Obviously, both your traditional desktop and mobile would be great. The minimal contact form, what is the minimum viable product? Name, email address would be my guess. Unless you're a multinational company trying to vet out leads via zip code or state, you might have to ask that. If you ask for a phone number, are you going to call back immediately? What kind of tracking questions, if any, do you need? Or to route by subject line. Those are all things to think about, but less is more. You're going to increase your conversion rate on your forms by keeping it down to the minimal, most effective questions. Last but not least, what I've seen with our clients over the years is the statistics show what people are typically looking for most commonly in a mobile website is directions to your office or location or locations, and contact info. I need a phone number. I need an email address to send a quick note. But primarily, a phone number and directions are absolutely essential. Make sure they're on your website, regardless of whether you're business to business or business to consumer. That's what people are going to be looking for. Now, there is one other thought that I'll say that definitely annoys mobile users, and that's gated content. So requiring people to visit an interstitial page to, please download our app. If any of you have Facebook on mobile, you'll know that you're constantly reminded to download Messenger, which I have steadfastly refused to do. I'm not a big Facebook fan personally. But you get that on different email platforms. They want you to download the app. While there is some points of convenience, statistics show that more than 2/3 will abandon the interstitial page and not proceed to the App Store or visit the mobile website. These interstitials have been around since I started in the Internet in '96, where you put an interstitial on your home page to celebrate something or require people to do something, guarantee you're going to lose 10 to 30% of your visitors right off the top. So stop gating your content and have minimal barriers to entry. I'm going to hand it over for a survey.
Hi, I'm back. Audience, we've got another polling question for you right here. Are you currently including any of the following to increase your user experience? Time-sensitive and local information, simple one-thumb navigation. We utilize simple forms for mobile users. Contact and navigation information, gate content to drive conversions, none of the above. All right, the same drill, everybody. You can click on as many as you would like there. This is a multi-answer question as well. And it actually looks like we might have the results in quickly this time. Hang on one second. Remind you all to make use of that Ask a Question box as well. Okay, good. We do have the results in. Here we go. And this It's interesting. No gated. See, they've heard you already. Not to gate their content. They know that already. Kent, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just looking. So I'm glad to see that the contact and navigation information directions are the primary focus. So people are doing it right. So congratulations, everybody. And they're most importantly not gating content. So let's move on to driving qualified leads and conversions with local paid. So local search, which Tyler talked through, particularly the organic side, is critical. The directory listings, name, address, phone number, all of that is highly important and essential. But you can always augment your local strategy with a paid advertising program through paid search and paid social. And again, this is a huge opportunity to localize your advertising and target users based on time sensitivity, location sensitivity, or activity sensitivities based on what people are trying to do. Now, as much as we said gating is a bad idea, putting a barrier in front of people, geofencing is a very unique and quickly evolving way to create custom personalized content based on geography, time, location that can really drive conversions. So there's a company that happens to be based here in Portland called Cloud Engage that has a web-based tool that is highly mobilely engaged and responsibly designed that allows you to gate down to a specific address, like a building. So in a couple of case studies on their site, you can see, and I'm not getting paid to promote these guys, I'm just a fan of the technology overall. There are other players in this space. But basically, if you go to a Portland Trailblazer game at Moda Center, one of the sponsors, one of the car dealerships, promotes their URL, and when you log into the web page, you are geofenced in from Moda Center. They're giving you a special Moda Center deal, deals, dollars off, promotion, whatever the case may be. More cleverly, though, if you geofence your competitors, like if you're a dealership, you geofence your other 4 competitors. So when they're doing some shopping to check prices on a new Audi or a Toyota, your ads on your homepage will say, you know, we can beat Sunset Audi hands down. Click here and find out more. So you're literally creating a very custom message utilizing geofencing technology. I highly recommend considering that kind of capability. It's something that we offer our clients and have seen great success. You also want to look beyond mobile search to the social platforms and their ad capabilities for mobile, as well as apps. So you can do in-app advertising that can be geo-targeted depending on the app and the functionality and what you're trying to achieve. But keep in mind, despite all the complexities potentially of researching all of these options and testing them, at the very least you should be considering what a mobile user is doing at the time, and typically they're looking to talk to somebody to make a decision quickly. So skipping a landing page and going straight to a click-to-call to get a live person on the phone can be very viable for quite a few businesses. So definitely keep that in mind. Now, there are mobile-specific conversions. As I said, you could click to call. But keep in mind that shoppers are continually showrooming. They go to a showroom, they see something they like, then they go online and price compare, whether they're using UPS codes, or whatever you call those things, to understand who's got the same price on, better price on that product that's in a certain proximity, or they order online. So Google is referring to that and others as the micro moment, that moment that somebody's deciding where to eat, where to buy, where to go, and leveraging that micro moment. And if you follow me on Twitter at Kent J. Lewis, you'll see I'll be tweeting out on the Rio SEO hashtag a couple mobile resources, including Google's micro moment mobile information resource website that I find that would be very particularly useful for this audience. And as much as I'm used to having no more than 8 to 10 seconds to capture people's attention in Google search results or other search engines that I've been spending my career marketing through for my clients, mobile is really more like a 5-second rule. So you have roughly half the time to convince people that you have a viable product, service, solution And so hitting them at the right time at the right place is critical to maximize that short time span. Now, as such, you want to think about minimalist product pages. On the right here, example, gluten-free snack food company Enjoy Life has very simple mobile optimized shopping cart. I don't know why necessarily. You might want to order some snack food with one touch, click to order, unless you're perhaps in the state of Colorado or Washington and get the munchies. But anyway, that's something to consider to maximize your conversions. Now I'm going to hand it back over for another poll.
Thanks very much. This is our last poll, audience, so please feel free to join us with this one. Which mobile and local marketing strategies are you using today? Local paid search ads targeting local businesses, mobile advertising using geofencing, geo-targeting, mobile app advertising, beacon marketing, local ad extensions like click-to-call features, do local advertising on social networks like Facebook, more on desktop advertising, more on mobile advertising, or none of the above. Again, this is one of those multi-answer ones, so click on as many as apply to you, and I will publish those results in just a second. Last reminder that the Q&A is coming up shortly, so feel free to submit your questions in that Ask a Question box. We're going to get to a bunch of them. Okay, good. I have the results here for you, Kent. And it looks like we got them spread across the board with the exception of beacon marketing.
Yeah, it looks like local paid search ads and landing pages are being used. I'm surprised it's that low considering Google's made it mandatory for you to use to integrate mobile into your paid search. Some people may not be aware of that. Everything else, local extensions, looks pretty good, and local advertising on social platforms like Facebook. So I'm seeing it very promising. Only 10% aren't doing any of these things. You can clearly see that just by suggesting some of these strategies that there are quite a few, like beaconing and mobile app advertising, that are untapped virtually by some of your audience that might be interested in evaluating those opportunities, which is a beautiful segue to greatest opportunities in mobile today. And I'm just going to touch on a few things before we move to Q&A. The first is that facts tell, stories sell. And I keep having to tell my clients this, that particularly those in technology or B2B marketing, where it's all about speeds and feeds and specs. And, you know, the idea that a business-to-business marketer does not have a personality and emotions and needs, I think has distracted many less sophisticated marketers that indeed, whether you're selling directly to business or to consumer, it's an emotional decision at some level every single time. So we always, as humans, and human nature is to respond well to storytelling. So telling stories in all of your marketing materials, your website, obviously is a no-brainer. Easier said than done. You need to have really talented copywriters, etc., and clear messaging. But mobile is even more important because we have that 5-second rule. We've got to grab their attention, so you've got to open with the big reveal. And so you've got to grab people's attention and carry them all the way through the story. So because so much time is spent on digital, consumers are on average looking at their phone 150 times a day. That doesn't include teenagers. That's probably 10 times that. So a couple of thoughts. I think if you can inform or entertain or sell through mobile, if you can do one of those three things with your business today, then you should. And there's no excuse not to. On the lower left is an example of White & Kennedy, a Portland-based award-winning agency that brought you the original Old Spice TV ads and YouTube videos. They're doing a new campaign on Instagram, a Choose Your Own Adventure. I tested it, and frankly, it's terrible. As much as I love the genius that they have over there at Wyden, is that it's clunky. It's not a great use of Instagram per se, but I want to give them kudos right now for trying to innovate on platforms more interestingly and uniquely than other brands. So it tells me Old Spice is willing to make some choices and try new things. I don't think it's going to sell much, and based on the number of followers on each of the sub-pages, there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of activity. But I just want to show it you, and you can Google it and check out this Old Spice campaign and see what you think. But there might be might spur some innovation and creative thinking for your brand and how you can utilize some of these social platforms that are mobile-centric. On the right side, lower right, is Old Trapper. They are one of the original beef jerky companies, coincidentally based in Oregon. Who would have thought I'd be choosing Oregon-based companies for my examples? Just trying to remind you that we can represent. But they've effectively used not only social media, but specifically video, and they have a heavy mobile focus for their audience, because a lot of the beef jerky they sell is that convenience stop, that last stop on the road at the gas station and the convenience store. So it's important to capture people and stay top of mind when people want a snack or prep for trips and adventures. So there's a Marketing Sherpa case study on the social aspect of this Old Trapper that you can look up. But the idea is that the Old Spice entertains, Old Trapper mostly entertains. There's a little bit of information as well. But through social, you can absolutely do commerce on these different platforms. So keep that in mind. Don't forget it's not just a branding platform. You can conduct commerce. Now, some of the other evolving trends, integrated advertising. So the idea, clearly the goal is cross-device, integrated omni-channel campaigns and how to track those. And as you can see, there is a huge delta between what is being spent in mobile in terms of advertising and the amount of time people are spending, which means I saw this back in the day with just digital and search marketing 10, 15, 20 years ago. There was a huge delta, 6% ad budgets, 30% of consumption time was digital. Now mobile is that new insert here trend. That means there's opportunity for you to get in cheaper while it's technically more affordable and still evolving. So leverage all the media buy opportunities within search, within your industry publication, mobile platforms, and social platforms, and take advantage while you can. And then there's some evolving technology. I mentioned geofencing. There's also beaconing, which continues to evolve so that when you are within a department store or a large venue, there are different kinds of apps that work off radio frequencies, the microphone, GPS, Bluetooth, NFC. And so the idea is that you can message people. For instance, Best Buy has used it so that when you walk by the washer and dryers, you get a special offer from Whirlpool, but when you go by the refrigerators, you might get an offer from Frigidaire. You get the idea. So that kind of level of local within certain, even walking by the front of your store and they have their Bluetooth on, you can push messaging to them, which means don't forget the old school SMS that's been popular in Europe and Asia for 10 to 15 years, and we just started really getting into it 5-6 years ago. The fundamentals still work, as well as just making sure that your email messaging, your newsletters, your direct response email campaigns, inbound, outbound, are mobile responsive, because people are still using email and they're still relying heavily on it, and you want to play well in their email browsers. And I think we're going to move on at this point to Q&A.
I had myself on mute there for a second. We are. Thanks. Thanks, Ken. I want to make sure Tyler is brought back on board. Tyler, are you there?
I am here. Thank you so much, Ken.
Okay, terrific. I've got a few questions already in the queue for us, and I'll keep them coming. So here is our first one. Here, for an independent hotel, what is an example of a sub-tier directory?
Yeah, I think especially for hotels, things like hotels.com or local networks. I mean, especially like on yellowpages.com, people are searching heavily for hotels. But making sure that your main focus should obviously be on Google, as most of the search traffic and they're so dominant in that space. But also adding enhanced content. So not just making sure that you're listed, but adding things, finding ways for them to crawl your booking times and things like that. I know it's kind of pushed off some larger hotel chains because it's taken away from the on-site experience. But to really get the bang for your buck, you want to make sure that you're on things like hotels.com or travelguides.com and things like that. And a lot of those times it's as simple as filling out a form and updating your information as things change, but making sure that you get into that ecosystem is vitally important.
Okay, Kent, do you have anything you want to add to that? I'm just giving you a...
No, Tyler nailed that one.
Covered it. All right, here is another question for you. For European clients and consumers, are there any issues with collecting phone number and email addresses?
Tyler, do you want to go for it?
Yeah. And really, I know with in European clients and consumers, with the request to be forgotten and things like that. I think it's all about the use of the information. So if I'm a business and I'm provide home services, and it's basically filling out a contact request form for a quote or some things like that. Providing those, without providing those, you're never going to get a call back, and you'll never get fulfilled for the service request. But making sure that you want to make sure that their sites are secure and that information can't be leaked somewhere else. But it really comes into like if you're submitting to a mass index of people, like a white pages or something like that, where that kind of privacy issue comes more into play, and making sure that the intended use is really driving for what the consumer is looking for.
Okay, thank you very much. We've got a couple of the questions on geofencing. Can you explain geofencing more fully? How is the ad delivered?
I can take that, and Tyler, you can chime in. So in the case, the way CloudEngage does it, and there are different platforms and tools for this, is that you actually put in an iframe onto your home page or landing page, and then they power it with the creative that you or your agency creates. They're not a creative shop, they're just the technology provider. So that when you geofence a conference, a venue, a competitor, and it's down to address, like a block or a building, potentially, if that's what you want to do, versus an entire neighborhood, which you could also do by market, let's say. Then as soon as somebody with an IP address within that area accesses, whether it's mobile or desktop, then they are served up on your homepage custom messaging. So just like marketing automation, sales automation, platforms, it's only as good as the amount of content you can create and target to the level of detail and segmentation of your list as you're able or willing to do. So geofencing works best when you have a clear understanding of your audience, where they typically are when they're looking for information, and what kind of offers resonate with them. And then you have to create the creative, the visuals and the messaging, and design it in a nice package, and then get it into a system like CloudEngage, and it'll do the rest. But the heavy lifting is all figuring out what do you want to say to whom. And honestly, that's where typically where we get involved as an agency, is helping clients understand what that needs to be, a given company. So again, it's not ad-based, because that would be retargeting or geolocation targeting for Google through Google AdWords kind of thing. That's a little different. So this is more like content that you control the website experience based on them logging into or hitting your website from a specific location. So that's geofencing. You see a different experience based on where you access the website from, which is different from geo-targeted advertising or remarketing, where it's based on, you are someplace and you're looking at a website and you see ads on that publisher or that website, like a Google or one of their partners like CNN, that sort of thing.
Okay, thanks, Kent. Here is another question for you all. How do you use beacons and not be too intrusive? I always call that the creep factor.
See, that's a great challenge. I think, to me, so that the very best way is to, and it's a double-edged sword like always, is if you don't want to be creepy, you have to encourage people to download some sort of app. So they're basically, or some other way to opt in. So if I'm Best Buy, I have a promotion at the front of the store, and in my advertising say, when you go to download this app before you visit Best Buy, or at the front of the store, download this app now, we'll have special offers for you. Then they know that when they're getting pinged, they expect it. In fact, they want it. That's what they want. But if you are just piggybacking some other application, and I'm walking through the store and I get pinged and I don't even know what it is or why, it better be compelling. So the better example of not being intrusive is if I'm walking down the street, like a friend of mine was in Singapore 5-6 years ago, and every block he would be pinged 2 or 3 times through Bluetooth, which he left on, which was his choice, by bars having happy hour or restaurants having specials. This is in Singapore, not the U.S. that was, I think it just became part of their culture. That's not necessarily the culture here in Portland. Beaconing is not really much different than SMS. If I don't sign up to receive text messages, I don't want to get a text message pushed to me. It's spam. So beaconing has to be done carefully, and the way to counteract if you're going to be more aggressive in your promotions is to offer bigger deals so that people say, well, that was intrusive, but dang, a free T-shirt at the Gap is worth it. That's my take. I'm sure Tyler may have some other thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think that was great. I think it just, it's not overwhelming them with everything. So if I just walked into a Walmart and I started getting, push notifications for multiple ads and things like that, I think, some of the bigger brands are really doing it a lot more intelligently, as, like you were saying with the, kind of Best Buy or whatever example of, I reached a specific section in the store and now I receive, kind of a beacon notification that I might be looking at Charmin Ultra Plush toilet paper, and now I get an ad or a coupon for that. So of course I'm not going to turn down, if I'm looking to buy that, 20% off or $5 off. I think it just has to be held in moderation of how much you actually interact with them. And a lot of that comes back to analytics too. So if they're serving 1,000 ads or even 10 ads to a customer in one experience, their conversion rate's probably going to be fairly low because that customer is either going to opt out or be annoyed with your brand. Whereas maybe 1 to 2 might be the good range for targeting the audience without overwhelming them.
Okay, thanks. Here is another question. How can I drive users from social sites like Facebook to my site? That's a multi-million-dollar question, right?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is, making sure that you have good engagement. So, a lot of times people or brands will just be like, I need to be on Pinterest, Facebook, Foursquare, whatever, and be engaged on all of them. But in all actuality, it's, there are going to be social network sites like Facebook is a huge driver for, most brands. Not only because of their reach, but also because, most people use Facebook in general, other than Kent. But I think it's, not only promoting that and having, links that drive back within posts on Facebook or wherever the social site back to your website, but even doing the core local information, on your Facebook page for either your brand or a particular location, make sure you add your name, address, phone number, relevant information about that area with a link back to your website or your local landing page. So making sure that you have all those kind of pointing back and that they're, being used effectively either to, actual landing pages or to, to the actual content that's being delivered into the ad. So, it's something that we do on the Rio side is making sure that those name, address, phone number, website links are accurate across, hundreds of directories so that wherever the user may be, it's always being directed back to the site.
Okay, I'm just giving Kent a few seconds to jump in if he wanted to, but I will go on with the next question here. I'm actually going to combine a couple of them here. When we're talking about minimal design on mobile, should we strip some of the information from the desktop into mobile so the USPs are highlighted more prominent? And also in conjunction with that question is, do you have any examples of good people who are doing it right, both brand and independent people who are doing it right?
I can jump in on this one real quick. Yeah, I think, minimal design on mobile websites, if you're talking about responsive design, there are ways that you can eliminate content that might not be relevant. So on a local landing page on desktop, there might be a map with, the pin location, and, on a desktop, it fits nicely within the content. But when somebody comes down to mobile in a responsive, you might want to hide that so that they're not caught in kind of a scrolling, abyss of where they land on the map section of the page and, can't navigate anywhere else. And that's really where that, design comes in as far as make sure you have enough padding so that they can navigate around that, things like that. But also, highlighting maybe you don't want to show all the About Us information or all of the, in-store services. That's one way to pull it. But there's also different ways that you can use responsive to kind of, bundle information into easy accessible drop-down tabs, so it's not one ever scrolling page. but that sections of the content actually move into an app-like experience of, drop down a tab to see the About Us, or drop down to get driving directions to your store. So, there's a lot of companies that are doing this great, things like Jenny Craig, or even on Sports Authority, where they've provided a mobile experience that is vastly different than their desktop, but it's to drive the engagement and show the actual information that matters most.
And Kent Lewis here, who was talking for 30 seconds on mute before Tyler saved his ass. I would just build on what Tyler said, is that in an ideal world with unlimited resources and time, you would have a custom M.dot mobile dedicated site that is completely built with the mobile user intent and user experience of less, more important, impactful information, USPs, proof points, thumb nav, all of the above. The reality, though, is that WordPress makes it so easy to responsibly translate your site when you build it properly and using existing WordPress templates and nickels or whatever they call them. I'm not the developer. I'm the marketer. But we have between a half dozen and a dozen examples of WordPress responsibly designed sites that stream down the very best in our portfolio in the outcomes section on Anvil Media that you can check out. But I would say that, in the ideal, you could customize and weed out the info, but more often than not, letting users, having mostly a thoughtful homepage, and then from there they can navigate, and they don't mind scrolling if they have the time, but you've got to keep that in mind. And frankly, your web copy should be short, punchy, and bulleted anyway, and people would have to go 2 to 3 layers down in your site to get the deep dive, in-depth content. So theoretically, mobile doesn't need a whole new way of thinking so much as you're basically writing content for the short attention span. Most important fact first type of thing.
Okay, thanks very much. I think that is all the time we have for Q&A today, so I want to take a second to thank Kent and Tyler for great information. Again, this webcast is going to be available on demand shortly after we close out here today. I want to thank Rio for sponsoring today's webcast and let you all know we've got several more webcasts coming up in end of August and September, so please visit Digital Marketing Depot and sign up for those. That is all the time we have for our broadcast today. We do look forward to seeing you here next time, right here at Digital Marketing Depot.